Okay, students, once again, a very good evening to all. Today is the last day where we stay in the sixth competency number 6, right? Dual aspect of a transaction. And Putha, we have already completed, right? After today's session, the 50% of the syllabus is done, right? Today we mark the last session of the sixth competency, right? And on the next week, we are starting the 7th. So you all can see, right, how well we have worked, right? Just go through all the tutorials. I told you, right, to cover this subject, what we need is, right, a commitment and understanding. So we have done it. So if you join my classes from the beginning, I think at this moment you have collected large number of tutorials plus knowledge. Is that clear to you? We have collected a large number of knowledge and a set of tutorials. Pute. So before we start, as I told you, it is a very important lesson. Let me summarize, right? Let me summarize what we have discussed so far. Pute, it's very simple. It's very simple, Puta. What you understand here is, right, there are number of ledger accounts in a business, right? There are a number of categories, right? Okay. If I draw everything in a table, it appears like this. Give me a minute. Right. Now, if I draw, now look at this. I told you that we have 5 types of ledger accounts. Here I'm going to write the 5 types of ledger accounts we have. Give me a minute, sorry. Types. Right? Just 2 things can happen to an account, Puta. The balance may increase or the balance can be decreased. Okay. Now, what are the 5 types of ledger accounts we have? Assets, liabilities, okay, equity, income, and finally, expenses. Now, after studying this lesson, if you can understand, once you see a ledger account, right now, these are the outcomes of the lesson. You should be in a position to understand what type of an account is it. Then you have to decide, okay, as a result of this transaction, is this account increase or decrease? Right? Then based on that, you can decide. You should be in a position to decide this. Then make a padang karanna deyak. Asset increases debit. Okay. Harida. Liabilities decreases debit. Okay. Again, equity decreases debit. Right. And income decreases also debited. Decrease of these things are recorded in the debit side of a ledger account. And expense increases debit. Then right, the other side. Assets decrease credit. Okay. Liability increase credit. Equity increase credit. Income increase credit. And expense decrease credit. expense decrease credit. පුතේ ඔන්න ඔය table එක පාඩම් කරන්න. හරිද? Now I told you after reading this particular lesson there are few outcomes. First one is පුතේ, right? You have to understand මෙන්න මේ ටික පොඩ්ඩක් බලා ගන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ activities වලට යනවා, right? The first thing is you must understand that a transaction has two or dual aspect. Dual aspect, right? The first aspect is debit aspect and the second is credit aspect. That's the first thing. Then Pute, you have to recognize the relevant ledger accounts required. To record a transaction, you have to recognize the relevant ledger accounts. හරිද? මම මේ කියන ටික සම්පූර්ණ කරගන්න ඕනේ. Relevant ledger accounts. Okay, sorry, ledger accounts. Right? So you have to decide with after recognize the ledger accounts, you have to decide, okay, is it an asset, liability, is it an equity, income or expense? You have to get that knowledge as a result of this subject. Then you have to decide what account to be debited, okay, and what to be credited. ඔක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම දැනගන්න ඕන. හරිද පුතා? So if you can answer these things, right, once a question is given, remember you have understood this lesson 100% perfectly, right? You have understood this lesson, right, 100% perfectly. No two words in that. හරිද? ඔයා මේ පාඩම 100%ක්ම හරියට පාඩම් කරලා තියෙනවා. But listen to me, this has to be continued. So with all that understanding, let's move to the last session of the 6th competency children. හරිද? මම කියවපුවා අපි පුළුවන් තරම් ඉක්මනට සිලබස් එක ඉවර කරනවා. මොකද මම plan එකක් තියෙනවා මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කිව්වනේ. ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ grade 11 syllabus එක මම පටන් ගන්නවා පැටියෝ December වල. As we did in the in the theory class also. We are starting the grade 11 syllabus, right? On December for sure, right? So Puta, let me take you to the tutorial. Now we are recording all these transactions in a single set of accounts, right? We are recording all these transactions in a single set of accounts. I think once again, to keep the the class organized, I have provided all the formats required, right? So let's start how to answer this question. Pute, let me take you to the answers format, right? Question number 7. Look at this. It's very simple. Harida Batiyo. First one, Vihanga invested office equipment and cash valued 260,000 and 40,000 respectively, right? Pute, name the local account එකක් තියෙන first account. Name that account as cash account. ඒක නම් කරන්න පැටියෝ cash account කියලා. Okay, so I have separated considerable amount for cash because there are a number of cash transactions. Okay, good. Now look what I'm going to do. The date is 1st of January. 1st of January, the owner has invested 40,000 valued cash. Okay, right, give me a minute. 40,000 valued cash, right, as capital, right, product in the chuttak settings out vela thiyena wage. Harida? And also he has invested office equipment, right, as cash. Ekak dala thiyena. He has introduced office equipment also as cash. Let's record office equipment. Api ekat hadamu. Hari? Pute, the date is, now the next account is office equipment, 1st of January, again capital, amount of the office equipment invested is 260,000. Harida? These are the debit entries. Cash debit 40,000. Office equipment debit 260. Then we need another account to complete the double entry. That is capital account. Capital account. Puta, බලන්න මම මේ කියලා දෙන්න දේ. Right? It is capital account. Right? Capital account. We have to credit the capital account by these two values. Date 1st of January. බලන්න මම කරන දේ. Cash 40,000. Right? Again on 1st of January, the owner has invested office equipment. No? Office equipment 260,000. තේරුණාද මම මේ කරන දේ? This is how you record the first transaction. දැන් කල්පනා කරන්න. I need an answer. අත් බලමු කාගෙන් හරි අහලා. Dinel Fernando, පුතේ. Why have you debited the cash account, පුතා? What is the principle of double entry behind it? පුළුවන්ද කියන්න? ඇයි පුතේ ඔයා මම මෙතන cash account එක debit කරේ කොහොමද මම? What is the principle of double entry applied to that entry? Let me. Anyone in the class? Duniti? Adisha? Sanuka Patio, කියන බලන්න. ඇයි පුතා ඔයා මේ cash account එක debit කරේ? කමන්න දෙන්න බලන්න තු කියන්න. මම කියවනේ දැන් ඒක ස්ටඩි වෙන්න ඕන. What is cash? මේ බලන්න මෙතනින් බලන්නකො මේ. මෙන්න මේකනේ බලන්න තියෙන්නේ. ඇයි cash debit වෙන්නේ දැන් කියන්න බලන්න. Have you debit cash? තාම්බේද කියන්නේ. දැන් කියන්න පුතා. අන්න හරි. පුතේ cash is an asset. Asset increases debit. Understood? ඔන්න ඕකයි වෙන්න ඕනේ. හරිද? Yes, Sanuka. You have to say what increases. Cash is an asset. Asset increases debit. And why the office equipment debited? Can someone tell me? Ay office equipment debit වෙන්නේ? දැන් කියන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. Out of the 5 types, office equipment belongs to what? Recognize it first. Then decide why is it debited. Office equipment. What is the category? හැමෝම කියන්න පැටියෝ. හරියට හරි additions, right? It is an asset. No. Sanuka, it is not a liability. මං කිව්ව දැන් අහගන්න මං ආයි පාරක් කියනවා මං ඒක මේ වැඩිපුර සතියක් මේ පාඩමෙත් ඉන්නේ. හොඳට පාඩම් කරගන්න ඕන. The previous sessions I told you හොඳට අහගන්න පුතා. Now you all can see, right? Even though you are not right matured, you can see how difficult to survive in a country like this. හරිද? එඳ පැටියෝ මම බොහොම ආදරෙන් හැමෝගෙම ඉල්ලනවා. Collect the qualifications as much as possible. It is not just in education, but in all other facts. Collect the qualifications as much as possible. කම්මැලි වුණොත් ඔයා පරදිනවා. හරි? පුතේ, office equipment is also an asset නේද? When the owner introduced assets, office equipment to the business, that asset increases. Asset increases debit. Then, why the capital account is credited? Capital belongs to equity account. Equity increases credit. පැහැදිලිද? ඔන්න ඔහොමයි ඉගෙන ගන්න. Are we clear? Great. Let's move to the next transaction. අපි ළඟකට යමු. Transaction number 2. Obtain a bank loan valued 80,000. Again, we have to use the cash. Date is 3rd of January. Bank loan. Now, can you decide why the cash account is debited? 80,000. When you obtain a bank loan, business receives cash. Cash is an asset of the business. Increase in asset is debit. Okay, Puta. Then what is the account we need? The next account is this one. Bank loan. Can somebody tell me what is the category of the bank loan? කවුරු කෙනෙක් කියන්න බලන්න මට. මොකක්ද bank loan කියන account එකේ category එක? ටක් ගාලා කියන්න ඕනේ. ටක් ගාලා කියන්න ඕනේ හැබැයි. bank loan kene මොන account එකක්ද? Right, 30 seconds. Hurry up, hurry up. What is the category of the bank loan? අර පහෙන් මොකද්ද? ඔය එන්නේ පුතා. It is a liability. Now, when you obtain a bank loan, what happens to the bank loan? Is it increased or decreased from the business's viewpoint? Yes. What happens? Yes, Duniti. That liability increases. And we know liability increase is a credit. The date is 3rd of January. Cash, right? It is 80,000. Do you see? Every transaction has a debit entry and a corresponding credit entry. Supported by the principles of double entry. Okay, Puta? Good. Transaction number 3, cash purchases 30. Now, it's a payment. When you purchase the goods on cash, the cash decreases. Cash decreases credit, no? Why? Asset decreases credit. Record it in here, 9th of January, purchases. Purchases, Pute, value is 30,000 rupees. Why the cash account credits, Puta? Because cash is an asset. Asset decreases credit. Now open a new account for purchases. What is the category of purchases account? Purchases kene mona account ekadda? Purchases kene mona account ekadda? Hariyata harisanuka, very good. Purchase is an expense. Now, when you have purchased goods, what happens? For the business, it increases purchases. Date, 9th of January. It's a cash purchases, no? Here, description is cash. Amount is 50,000. 50,000. This is how you record, right? Purchases. Purchases account debit, cash account credit. And the next date is 14th January. Credit purchases from Iresh, 50,000. Credit purchases. Think what we have to use here. We have to use the purchases account. But this time, it is a credit purchase. Record the date, 14th January, Iresh. Within brackets, now Iresh is called as what? Creditor. Iresh can creditor. I told you, credit purchases generates a liability called creditor. It is, right? It is, cash purchases 30,000. Sorry, Pute, it should be 30,000. 30,000. Yes, 30. Cash purchases 30. Now, credit purchases 50,000. This has to be 30,000. Purchases debit 50. We need another account. That is Iresh. Oh, Iresh is a creditor. Right? Creditor account. Iresh account. Harida? Iresh account. Puta, who can tell me what we should do in the personal account of Iresh? Mokadda අපි කරන්න තියෙන Iresh account එක? It's very simple. Can someone tell me? We have debited purchases account. So you can understand Iresh account should be credited, right? 14th January, purchases amount 50,000. Hurry. Let's read the double entries. Increase in expense debit, increase in liability credit. Again, increase in expense debit, increase in liabilities credit. Okay, Puta? Okay, good. I want you to go through this recording, right? Once it is uploaded. Okay, puta. Now the next one, cash sales 60,000. Once again, the cash account is involved. As a result of the cash sales, business receives cash. So the balance of cash increases, no? Cash account should be debited. The date is 17th January. Sales, puta, 60,000. Now, in your mind, ඇයි මේ මෙතන sir cash එක debit කළේ? මොකද්ද principle එකේ පිටිපස්සේ තියෙන? Always ask that principle. Cash is an asset. Asset increases debit. Okay, puta. At the same time, open a new account for sales. Then මට ටක් ගාලා කියන්න. What is the category of sales account? Sanuka. මට කියන්න පැටියෝ. Sales කියන්නේ පුතේ මොන account එකක්ද? දැන් පාඩම් කරා නම් ළමයි ටක් ටක් ගාලා මට උත්තර දෙන්න ඕන. Exactly. Janidu, very good. Sanuka, හොඳයි. Sales is an income. හොඳයි. Now, as a result of a cash sale, what happens to the sales? 17th January, cash sales increases, no? Increase in income is credit. 60,000. 60,000. Got it? Harida? Now, look at this principle of double entry applied. Assets increase debit, income increase credit. Every single transaction has this relationship. Got it? Credit sales to Yomal 70,000. This time, business doesn't receive cash, right? But as a result of this transaction, the business creates another asset. That is, Yomal, you know, Yomal is recognized as a debtor. Yomal account. Yomal is a debtor. Debtor is an asset. Again, asset increases debit. 19th of January, right? 19th of January, right? It is sales 60,000. Sorry, it is not 60, 70,000. 70,000. Yomal account, debtor account debit. Asset increases debit. Credit the sales account. 19th January, right? Debtors, Yomal. Within brackets, debtor, right? 70,000. 70,000. Are we clear? Are we clear, Puta? Good. Right. Next one. Paid salary, paid staff salary is 15,000. Again, the cash account is involved because this payment was made by cash, made through cash. So, credit the cash account. The date is Puta 22nd of January. It is paid for staff salaries. Staff salaries 15,000. හැම වෙලාවෙම පුතා බලන්න ඇයි මේක ඩෙබිට් වෙන්නේ ඇයි මේක ක්‍රෙඩිට් වෙන්නේ හරිද පුතා right cash account credits why when you have made a payment balance of cash decreases that means asset decrease is a credit simple right හරිද right now what we should do open another account and that is for staff salaries. Staff salaries account. Can somebody tell me the category of this account quickly? category What is the category of staff salaries? Duniti? Hariyata hari. Additions තේරුණාද? Addition niyamai puta. ඔන්න ඔහම හරි මම එකයි කියන්නේ. මේ පාඩ දැන් අපිට රිසල්ට් එකක් තියෙන පැටියෝ මේ පාඩම ඉගෙන ගත්තයි කියලා. අද කොහොම හරි මේක ඉවරයක් කරගන්නකෝ. When you see a transaction, you have to recognize the two accounts. There should be a minimum of Sanuk, it is not a liability, son. It is not a liability. It's an expense. Harida, staff salaries is an expense. Right? Right. Now what we have done, Puta, as the transaction on 22nd, we have paid the salaries. So the date is 22nd of January. Description cash. This has been paid out of cash. 15,000. Salaries debit 15. Harida, cash credit 15. Principles. Increase in expense debit. Increase in expense debit. Decrease in assets credit. හැම වෙලාවෙම මෙන්න මේක කටපාඩම් කරගන්න ඕන. That is for sure. This table. Right, Pute? Good. Let's move to the next transaction after the staff salaries. It is received 30,000 from Yomal. Now, who was Yomal? Yomal was a debtor. Now, what we have done, we have collected 30,000 from Yomal. So, it receives cash now. Distance is it is not an income, darling. It is not an income. All the cash receipts are not recognized as income. Remember that. Yomal කියන්නේ පුතේ අපේ debtor කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි බලන්නකෝ. Right? We have sold goods to Yomal on credit 30,000. Now he has settled 30. How it can be an income? It is not an income. Look what happens. The business receives cash. The date is 24th January. Yomal, within brackets, debtors. How much he has settled? 30,000 now. Cash debit 30. Now, who has settled this? Yomal. Yomal's account credit. Yomal's account credit. The date is 24th of January. Cash 30,000. දැන් අහගන්නකෝ. Yomal කියන්නේ asset එක නම් ඒ asset එකයි income එකක් වෙන්නේ නෑනේ. If the account is an asset, again for any other transaction, it is recognized as an asset. සනුක හොඳට අහගන්න මම මේ කියන්නේ. Yomal was an asset. So when he settles it, he can't be a liability. Again, it has to be an asset. Are you listening to me? Right. So the principles behind that double entry is this. Assets increase debit. Assets decrease credit. Assets increase debit. Assets decrease credit. Okay, good. Next one, 25th of January, paid 20,000 to Iresh. Harima mukut karanne. Demmata ogolloo kiyanna. What is the double entry we have to use to record that transaction? 1 minute. Which account to be debited and which to be credited? Yes. Anyone in the class? Dishans, I need the double entry, Pute. I need the double entry. Which account to be debited, which is to be credited. Sanuku, you have to say which is it debit or credit. Mention it. අනේ පුතේ කරුණා කරලා මේ පාඩම නම් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම බලන්න ඕන. සනුක ආපහු පාරක් කල්පනා කරන්න. You have paid 20,000 to Iresh. Then what we have to do? Is it debited or credited to cash? කොනිත් ළමයි උත්තර දෙන්න ඕන රේසෙන්. Right? Triptika, Vibhu, I haven't received Binan. Amir, I need your responses. Let me. Manko make a bohoma lassana padamak. Don't aparadi make nasti karagande pa. Hari, Puta, listen to me. Puta, listen to me. Pute, we have paid 20,000 to Iresh. You know what happens? We pay cash, right? Cash nati venone petiyo. Anna hari duniti. Exactly, that is what happens. Additions. How do you debit cash, Puta? Me pete wala name. Undara balana me account ka diya. When you pay right expense in cash, can you debit the cash account? Oh, do you receive cash when you pay something? Nෑ නේද? අද ඉගෙන ගන්න පුතා. Every payment of cash is credited. Why? Asset decreases credit. බලාගෙන double entry එක. 25th of January, we have paid Iresh. Creditor. Creditor. How much we have paid? 20,000 to him. Cash credit 20,000. Because we creditor was a liability. Creditor කියන පුතේ අපේ liability account එකක්. මේ බලන්න. Now we are settling a liability. So the liability decreases. Now see, මේ බලන්න පැටියෝ ලස්සන්ට වෙනවා නේද හැමදේම. Liability decreases what? Debit. මේති. Assets decrease credit. See, debit credit is always there. Let's record it now. Let's record it. We have credited the cash account. Now debit the personal account of Iresh. We have paid 20,000 to him. The date is Pute 25th January. 25th of January, right? We have paid cash. හොඳට ඉගෙන ගන්න. හරිද? Principles of double entry. Liability decreases debit. Here, assets decreases credit. Are we clear now? Right. Next one, again, we have settled an expense. Office rent. A payment no pute. Salli walin yoka gewanne. Neda. Then credit the cash account. Why? I'm cash credit debit credit karanona. It's a payment. Office rent. Office rent. How much we have paid? 5,000. Cash account credit karagan. Credit the cash account. At the same time, open another account for office rent. Okay, office rent. I think you know the category of office rent. Yes, it is an expense. Debit. The date is 27th of January. 27th of January, right? We are debit the office rent account. Office rent account is debited by, right, 5,000. And it was paid in cash. අපි ගන්න මේකේ activities ගොඩක් කරා පුතේ. හැබැයි කොච්චර කරත් වැඩක් නැහැ. මේක වගේ ඔළුවට හරියට ගිහිල්ලා නැත්තම්. Let's read the principle of double entry behind this one. Expense increases debit and assets decreases credit. තේරුණාද? ඊළඟ එකට යන්න. The last one. The owner, Vihanga, has withdrawn 16,000 for his private use. Again, he has drawn cash now. Credit the cash account. 29th of January. The other account is drawings. 16,000. Is that clear to you? Drawing 16,000. A payment. It decreases your right assets. Asset decreases credit. Write it down first. Credit the cash account. හරිද පුතා? Now Adisha, no, I told you drawings is not an expense. Then what is it? Who can tell me the category of drawings? I think I have taught that to you right number of times. Anyone in the class? Adda mataka tiyaganna. Yes, not me. Drawings, no Sanuka, it is not an asset whatsoever. Drawings is an equity account. Yes, Amir. කවුද මගෙන් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ අහපු දරුවා? අදීශ දැන් ඉගෙන ගන්න පැටියෝ. කවදාවත් කියන්න එපා drawings කියන්නේ expense කියලා. හරිද? Drawings is equity. When the owner has withdrawn something out of the business for his private use, what happens in the equity is equity decreases. Therefore, this what happens. Equity decrease. බලන්න පුතා. මේ බලන්න. Equity decrease is what? Equity decrease is debit. Do you see? Equity decrease is right debit. Okay. හරිද? මේකේ double interest මොනවද යන්නේ? Right? Equity decrease debit, asset decrease credit. දැක්කද? Asset decrease credit. Debit credit is always there. Let's record the transaction. Right? Up transaction record karam. We have already credited the cash account. Open the last account we need, that is drawings. Give me a minute, Puta. Drawings account and debit it. Excuse me. Right. Sorry for the inconvenience. Drawings account. It's an equity, no, but this time equity decreases. The date is 29th January. Right, 29th of January. Right. And the drawings account is debited. Drawings account is debited. The value is how much, Pute? What is the value? It is 16,000. Cash 16,000. Principle of double entry. Decrease in equity debit, decrease in assets credit. If you want the full screen answer, right? See. In the next chapter, I'll be teaching right now. Sorry, in the 7th chapter. Sorry, in chapter number 8, I'll be explaining how to balance the ledger accounts. But for the moment, this is enough. See, on my accounts. Then puta මොකක්ද ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕන? හැම transaction එකකටම debit entry එකක් තියෙනවා, ඒ වගේම credit entry එකක් තියෙනවා. එච්චරයි. එච්චරමයි ඉගෙන ගන්න තියෙනවාට. හරිද? And that is supported by this with this beautiful theory. That's all. පුතා ඉගෙන ගන්නකන්වත් අඩුම ගන්න. First draw this table somewhere and think why this account is debited. An account can be debited as a result of 5 reasons. මේ බලන්න. account එක debit වෙන්න හේතු 5ක් තියෙනවා එච්චරයි. මේ බලාගන්න මම මේ කියන දේවල්. බොරු නම් බලන්න. හරිද? Account is debited as a result of 5 reasons. Is it asset increase? It might be a decrease in liability, decrease of equity, a decrease in income, or increase in expense. These are the 5 reasons for debiting an account. Recognize it. The reason. Out of these 5, one out of 5 is the reason. And for the credits also, credits right? It might be a decrease in asset, increase in liability, increase in equity, increase in income, or decrease of expense. Out of 5, one reason. Recognize it. එහෙනම් අපි යමු අන්තිම ගානට. හරිද? අපි ලබන සතිය ලස්සන පාඩමකට යනවා primary books, but I want you to have a thorough knowledge on this particular lesson. පුතා, we are moving to the last transaction. So last activity. අන්තිම ගානට අපි යනවා. හරිද? මෙන්න මේකයි ගාන. I have given you a cash account of the business. Now to do is you have to describe the transactions. වෙලා තියෙන transactions මොනවද කියලා ලියන්න ඕන. හරි? And this is the first requirement, and this as a homework you have to record the other entry. For an example, this one. මේ තියෙන්නේ 1st of January cash account is debited, no? What should be the other entry? This account has to be capital and it has to be credited. HRI. හරිද? Okay, let's recognize the transactions. අපි transactions ටික මොනවද කියලා අඳුනගමු. Right, give me a minute. Let me share the screen. Here we go. Right. Right. Hurry. Date is 1st of January. What is the transaction? Aganna, the owner invested rupees 350,000 as capital. Write it down. මේ බලන්න හරිනේ බලන්න වෙලා තියෙනද මේ capital credit. ඕනනම් මම ඉතුරු එකත් කරලා දෙන්නම් දැම්මම. Capital account. Capital account. හරිද? It is credited. හරි? ඒක credit වෙනවා පුතා. Capital account is going to be credited. Right? Capital account is credited. The date is, right? The date is 1st of January. Cash 350,000. ඔන්න ඔකයි කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. Look at the next date. The next date is puta 3rd of January. 3rd of January. Office equipment. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? Cash account is credited. Then office equipment has to be debited. Who can describe the second transaction? කවුද බරව ළමයෙක් ඉන්නවද කියලා පන්තියේ? Can you describe the second transaction, children? Now the other entry is this. ඉතුරු entry එක තමයි මෙන්න මේක. මේක ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරගන්න ඕනේ. Office equipment account. Office equipment account, right? It is debited, right? It has to be debited. ඒක debit වෙන්න ඕන. The date is puta 3rd of January. Description cash 150,000. Now can you describe the second transaction? Anyone in the class? Then nam puluwan ganna ona puthi. Duniti? Janindu? Hariyata hari additions. Very good. Huh? The second transaction is, this I will describe it. Purchased office equipment valued rupees 150,000. Rupees 150,000. Right. Harida? Good. Sanuka, we are referring the dates. 3rd of January, May Patati, May, this one. කල්පනාවෙන් ඉන්න පැටියෝ. Now the third transaction, sales 60. So for you to get the complete understanding, this is the next account you have to draw. Sales account, and it should be credited. Sales account is credited. Right? Sales account credit වෙන්න ඕන. The date is puta 7th January. Cash 60,000. Yes, very simple. What is the transaction? Exactly. Sanuka additions dennama hari. The transaction is 7th of January. Simply right. Cash sales rupees 60,000. ඔච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? Good. The next date is 10th January. දැන් මම ඉතුරු ටික අඳින්නවා වගේද homework වලට අඳින්න ඕන. Purchases account debit, cash credit. What is this transaction? 10th January. Can't you guess? මොකද්ද පැටි මෙතන තියෙන්නේ? මේ බලන්න. It is a cash purchase. Yes, puta, very good. Cash purchases 30,000 rupees. Sanuka credit purchases නෙමෙයිනේ පැටියෝ. cash නේ උතන තියෙන්නේ. credit නම් අපි වෙන කෙනෙක්ගේ නමක් දාන්න දෙපයි නේද? It is not a credit purchase. හොඳට මේ පාඩම් බලන්න ඕන සනුක. Okay, it is a cash purchase. Cash purchases 30,000. Right? කියන බලන්න ඊළඟ transaction එක. 12th of January. Wait, let me tell you the double entry. Cash account debit. You have to prepare another account to answer the second requirement, bank loan. And the bank loan credit 80,000. What is this transaction? මේ transaction එක මොකද්ද? හරියට හරි ඔය තියෙන්නේ. It is obtained a bank loan, obtained a bank loan valued rupees 80,000. ඔච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ. හරිද පුතා? Right. The next consecutive date is පුතේ 15th January. හොඳට අහගන්න. Cash account credit 40,000. Charit creditor debit 40,000. What is this transaction? මොකද්ද මේ transaction එක? Anyone in the class? Transaction is this. Paid rupees 40,000 to Charit, within brackets, right? Creditor. We have paid 40,000 to Charit, a creditor. You have to debit Charit's personal account. මම ඉඩ තියලා තියෙන ඔක්කොම ටික complete කරලා මට උත්තර ටියුට් එකේ වන්න ඕන. Right? And dear parents, if you are listening to this particular notice, please check whether your child is sending me the completed tutorials. මොකද ළමයි කීප දෙනයි එක වරද්දන්නේ නැතුව කරන්නේ. අනිත් අය නම් කරනවා පාටක් පේන්නේ නැහැ. Right? So please encourage them. The next one, 18th January. පුතේ, now the cash is debited. එනම ටක් ගාලා හිතන්න පුළුවන් අපිට සල්ලි හම්බ වෙලා. It's a receipt. Who has paid this? Gayan. itu double entry මොකක්ද යන්නේ description එක මොකක්ද received rupees 70,000 from Gayan within brackets debtor. See, are we clear now? හරියට හරිසන්නක ඔය තියෙන්නේ පුතේ ඔය තියෙන්නේ ඔන්නෝම කල්පනා කරලා කරන්න එච්චරයි නියෝනේ. Right? Very good. So we have just 3 more transactions. Right? Puta, it's a payment. How do you decide it? Cash account is credited. Describe this transaction 24th January. Who can tell me? Cash account is credited, so the motor vehicle account should be debited. What is this? Mega මොකක් වෙන්න ඕනද? Anyone in the class? What type of a transaction is this? එහෙම කියන්නේ අන්න හරි decisions. It is not paid 100,000 for motor vehicle. එහෙම කියන්නේ නැහැ පුතා. We have to say purchased a motor vehicle valued rupees 100,000. තේරුණාද? Purchased the motor vehicle valued rupees 100,000. Right? Now, the next one has to be a receipt. Why? The cash account is debited. Who can tell me the description? 26th January. 26th. ඔය තියෙන්නේ සනුක නියමයි පුතා. Received commissions 10,000 or received rupees 10,000 as commissions. Received rupees 10,000 as commissions. Okay, good. The last one, 29th. Hariyata hari. ඔය තියෙන්නේ පුතා 29th January. It's a payment. You have to say paid rupees 15,000 as electricity. දැක්කද? හරිද? Right. So please make sure that you complete this right tutorial. හරියට මේක complete වෙනවද කියලා බලන්න. මට ඊට පස්සේ උත්තර ටික එවන්න ඕන. හරිද? Right. So on the next week we are starting the 7th competency. හරි? ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙනවා පුතේ දැන් මේ ටියුට් එකකින් යන හින්දා අපිට වැඩේ ඉක්මනට කරගන්න පුළුවන්. බලන්න අද දවසේ අපි නොදැනුවත්වම් පුතා පිටු 5ක ටියුට් එකක් ඉවර කරනවා. හරිද? බොහොම පොඩි වෙලාවයි යන්නේ. හරි? So you can see how effective this class is, right? දැන් අපි දන්නේම නේද කට්ටිය කියනවා නම් අපි වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා මාස 5ක් 6ක් විතර අපි ඉන්නේ දැන් අපි 50% ඉවරයි. 50% of the syllabus is done. Right? Okay, children? So please make sure that you are completing, right, all the notes in time, right? And I want you to go through the recorded sessions once it is uploaded. So puta, this is the official end of competency 6, right? මේ තමයි අපේ competency 6 වල අවසාන session එක. We have spent 4 good weeks, right, on this lesson, and we are meeting with a new lesson on next week, that is prime entry books. So until that happens, right, stay safe, right? And once again, a small advice to all. These days, I think you know, everything is difficult to everyone. Okay, do not waste anything, the food, the time, right? Anything, any material, because your parents are struggling a lot these days, right? Because the inflation of the country has been increased by 74%. But incomes have not reached like that. So puta, do not waste. Do not waste anything. Harida, take the maximum advantage of everything. Right? Especially this free education. Right, Puta? Then thank you very much for your participation. And children, if you have not settled the fees, please settle the fees and send me the details. Not in a hurry. There are 10 more days. You can pay me right on any day you like, any day which is convenient to you. Okay, then thank you very much. That's all for today. Until we meet again on next week. Stay safe. God bless you. Okay, Puta, God bless you, Patio. God bless. God bless you.